Okay, so it's the night after Night of Champions, and ironically, they did this really weird thing. Actually, they continued some storylines, and they also kind of had this bizarre focus on this. Oh, look at this division. It's two guys they tag. They haven't done much with it, even though they had like a resurgence almost 2 years ago with the Usos and the Hart Dynasty. Oh, what do they call it? The tag team division. Yeah, that's right. You had a really solid match, ironically, with Epico and Primo taking on Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio. You're a pretty solid match. You had the Mexicans versus the Puerto Ricans. And of course, Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara won. Sin Cara is using the senton as his finisher now, which makes sense. It's a safer move. It's a lot less likely to actually truly injure somebody, and it's still very impressive to watch. They won, and shortly after they got attacked by the Primetime Players. Ironically, Titus O'Neil's really coming into his own on the mic. Did a much better job than Darren Young did. So he jumped afterwards, cut a promo about how they're takers now. Okay. And later on the night, Team Friendship, or Kane and Daniel Bryan, took on Kofi Kingston and R-Truth, and they retained. Good solid match. So you had two tag team matches that were surprisingly solid. Haven't said that in a really long time. The Divas match between Beth Phoenix and Eve. Oh no, not a bad match. I still hate how Beth Phoenix loses to like a regular roll-up. Layla on the mic did not help this match at all. At all. Or I think it's probably like the weakest match of the night. The Miz TV segment where he brought up Booker T. I liked that they only had the one mic and he kept on, cutting off Booker T. And then have Ryback come down and destroy the set, almost kind of like a Ryback-Miz feud. I know Ryback really needs a good feud to get him started. And someone like The Miz... If The Miz still had Alex Riley, this would work. But since Ryback would be going almost straight after The Miz, doesn't quite work out that well. Because, either Miz is going to defeat Ryback, somewhat kind of hampering his push, or Ryback becomes your new Intercontinental Champion. That's kind of, half and half either way. The Ryder-Sandow match was actually pretty good. Sandow came down, cut a promo about how summer break is over, it's time to go back to school. And then he had a pretty decent match with Ryder. Santino Marella took on Ziggler, and again it was a pretty decent match. It's weird to say that. I mean, Santino, threw out a couple of decent moves, and actually had a really great match with Ryder. Of course, Sandow won and Ryder won, but did a really solid job with that. And even Tensai taking on Randy Orton was a good back and forth match. It's really weird to say. It's been like probably Tensai's best match so far. Of course, he lost to Orton, but still a really solid match from those two competitors. Wade Barrett continued his barrage as he took on Justin Gabriel. I love the "We Want Nexus" chant. To be honest, since Nexus broke up, I guess Ryback has been the most successful one currently. Wade Barrett, who should have been a champion by now, has not been. The Core fumbled and went absolutely nowhere. So, ironically, reforming the Nexus might actually be a pretty solid idea. Continuing that train of thought, and Wade Barrett won with his really vicious forearm smash. His style, I kind of like it. I like more of that brawler style from a bigger guy. And again, solid match. Made Gabriel look pretty credible with his speed against Barrett's strength. Overall, not that bad of a match. I still think he needs a better finish than that forearm smash. He does. Continue the Nexus line of thought. Brodus Clay took on Heath Slater. Even with Antonio Cesaro at ringside, distracting Brodus Clay, Heath Slater just could not get it done with whatever that move he tried to do was. like a cross between like a Stone Cold Stunner and an RKO. I'm thinking he probably just did some move and Brodus didn't know how to take it. It looked kind of bad. Brodus, of course, picked up the victory on there. So, you know, for the most part, pretty solid stuff. You know, they continued the IC Championship. They continued some stuff with the Divas Championship. A lot of work was put into the Tag Team Championships, as well as the US Championship. You know, they did a pretty solid job with some of that. It had, you know, a lot of matches. And your main event, of course, came down to the two main events from Night of Champions in one match. So Del Rio and CM Punk teamed up to take on Sheamus and John Cena. Okay. You know, Del Rio's style actually meshed pretty well with CM Punk. Lots of good striking. And then you just had the Raw, we don't sell moves that often power game. And you could kind of tell that this match was going to come down to some sort of controversial finish. Cena hits an AA, Punk rolls closer to the ropes. 1, 2, Punk's foot is on the ropes. 3, ref didn't see it. You know, so continuing that story, I'll be honest, knowing that it's Hell in a Cell, I would have preferred they would have a match like a 30-minute Iron Man match, or, you know, some sort of match where there's multiple pinfalls, so therefore it is a definitive winner. In a Hell in a Cell, you can still have a fluke victory. We've seen it in the past where at a Hell in a Cell, you know, someone breaks in, and you can still get what amounts to being a fluke victory in that. So they'll continue John Cena versus CM Punk. Maybe CM Punk might, well, I guess not, I can't say would beat John Cena because he would not lose to John Cena for a 4th pay-per-view. But if you consider SummerSlam, there'll be 5 pay-per-views that John Cena will have fought in a match with CM Punk for the title that he will have not been victorious. But CM Punk's title reign still means nothing. Hopefully, if he defeats John Cena again, he will debut the new title. I think if he actually fully makes a break from John Cena's belt to his own belt, it'll have a lot more of an impact to it. I almost wish they'd go away from the respect angle and almost instead would have CM Punk talk about, yeah, it's about respect for me, but you want a shot at The Rock. You know, The Rock beat you at WrestleMania. You don't care about this title. You don't care about beating me. You want to face The Rock at Royal Rumble. This is about the title. For me, this is about respect. For you, this is about, you know, expunging that loss to The Rock at WrestleMania. But with CM Punk being a heel and letting Paul Heyman do lots of talking for him, which I'll be honest, when they were in the back, and it was Punk, Heyman, Del Rio, and his mouthpiece, David Otunga, and they both kind of like, Punk would talk to Heyman, Heyman would talk to Otunga, Del Rio would talk to Otunga, you know, so that was actually pretty good. And one thing I actually really loved, they go back to the 3-man commentary rotation. So you have JR, Michael Cole, who's a face now, and JBL filling on the heel position. Hearing JBL do the heel commentary reminds me of how great he was as a heel commentator. I almost think that if they wanted to get Alberto Del Rio over, or ADR, as spoken by JBL, JBL could probably get him over off his ring work with what JBL can do on that mic. I think he would be the catalyst to really put Alberto Del Rio much, much more on the map. I almost actually wish that there was a face who had the US title and Del Rio would feud for that. Do I think Del Rio is still a main event guy? I'd say he's still lower main. If you put him upper mid, I think he'd get a lot more traction and then go back to the main event.